Did you study electrical engineering or microelectronics, stuff like that? Is just a
No,
hobby?
it's just a passion for me. It's just something that's really fun. I actually graduated school with like economics, and then I became a self-taught developer after that. Like after school, I went into sales, and then I did that for like a year, and I didn't love it. So I wanted to be like technology was always like a passion of mine. So I learned how to code just with websites initially.
Mm-hmm.
Then I use my like sales abilities and skills to go out there and try and like get clients for building websites before I fully knew how to do it, mind you. And then once I had a few customers, I had to like learn how to do it to fulfill, the needs of the customers. So that's how I first started learning and becoming a software developer is from the necessity of getting clients first, and then
Mm-hmm.
like doing learning what I needed to do to kind of like make them happy.
So basically, Node.js, JavaScript, that world.
Exactly.
And what are you playing with now? Raspberry Pis? What are we talking about?
So this is just something that's like like my passion that I do on like the side with microelectronics,
Yeah.
and like yeah. So I program with Raspberry Pis and Arduinos as well. And they have their own kind of like a code editor with like a C variant that you're programming. But again, with AI, it's amazing. It can help you program microelectronics too and everything. And like what I'm doing with that is I'm trying to like build kind of like a like some drone myself, like from scratch, from just like 3D printing microelectronics, and kind of like build some drone variants that kind of like don't exist yet. Like if you've ever heard eVTOL, like electric vertical takeoff and landing. So drones that can take off but also fly and then land again. So yeah, just playing around is just like a passion.
Man, it's amazing. When I was a kid, we used to play not with drones. I don't know the drone. Well, the old school drones that basically, it
Remote
looks like a
control cars,
plane,
right?
right? You put a little bit of benzene in the little engine, a few cc. cc.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish it was cc. And you hope that they will not crash. And it's all about learning aerodynamics and try to, if you at the beginning you just try to throw them and make sure that they glide somewhere, and then you actually play with the sticks and all that stuff. This is so cool. But that's not the only thing that you deal with. So I understand that you're also on the wagon of the chess. Like what? Like
Yeah, I've just
so
started
many people.
just started a couple of months ago. I mean, I've been playing. I used to play when I was a kid, just a little bit with my grandpa, and then I haven't played in like decades. And I just kind of like randomly started playing, and I got hooked, and I'm addicted. So like that's I waste way too many hours a week on that.
Yeah, well, don't say that because you're a founder and a CEO of a startup, so you don't really have too much time. Um, I think that one
I
day
play
I will read.
rapid games, 10-minute games. That's like
Oh, yeah,
rapid
no,
chess.
this is, yeah, for me, it takes me like 5 minutes to lose now. It's like, yeah, I will pick chess again when I will pick a guitar again, which will be, I don't know, whenever my kid will go through adolescence and go like, yeah, I want to rock it. Let's figure. But then I'll be too old. I don't care. Anyway, Lassen, right? I pronounce it correctly.
Lisen, yeah, you
Lassen,
got it.
awesome. Lassen. Like, first of all, thank you very much for joining me today to InsurTech Talk. How about we'll start from a little bit background about yourself, how you got to the insurance industry, and what do you guys do?
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Lisen Kaci. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Discrepancy AI. Before this, I was a software AI engineer. I was lead engineer at a company called WiseDoc, helping them build like generative AI capabilities for medical document reviews. And I had some so I really that's where I really kind of like had my first experience with using AI to review documents, to look at documents, and that's where I first figured out kind of like what are the issues in this space. And then after that, I decided to start my own company that in the AI document analysis space. And initially, I actually started Discrepancy AI targeting legal professionals, but that actually failed, and targeting those customers failed. And I actually learned something very important from that.
We're going to talk about it later. LegalTech is always an interesting topic. It's one of those trends, and failures, that's another topic that we'll touch later on. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So I'll save it for the next question. But to say that I've talked to hundreds, probably about 1,000 different companies at this point, trying to figure out what it is that they need, what problems I can solve. And we'll talk about it later, but the legal industry, there were some really, really, really really severe challenges that doesn't really matter what the technology that you're building is. You're going to have some uphill battles, specifically with AI decreasing billable hours. So I'll just kind of like tease that right there, where a lot of lawyers are very careful about saying this, but they are reluctant to use a tool that will inevitably decrease their billable hours. And that's kind of like a really big lesson that I learned, not just like the legal industry, but overall, you have to make sure that what you have solves the problem, not only for the company, but for the people in that company using your product as well.
Mm-hmm. So Discrepancy AI, of course, it needs to have AI. Does it need to have AI in the name? I know it's a marketing question because everyone has AI.
I'm pretty opinionated on this right now. Like if you remember the late 90s, every single company there was an internet company, right? Like every new company was an internet company. Like they all had internet or web in their name. And
well, everything is still 3D printing in the cloud.
Exactly. So right now, today, every single company that starts is an internet company, but none of them talk about being an internet company. I think AI will be the exact same way, where every single company in the future is going to have AI in some way in its product, but it's not going to be advertised because every company is going to be an AI company. So at the moment, the AI shows that we use real artificial intelligence and agentic workflows to fully automate the report building capabilities for the insurance space. So,
which I wonder, did I ask you, what do you guys do? What's Discrepancy? What kind of reports are you creating?
AI, we automate the building of report for an insurance company. So whether you're trying to for employee benefits, trying to build a report to show like employee benefits, employee renewal rates. So if your insurance is renewing, you can see it. Any reports or any summary or structured data that you need from your insurance policy or your other insurance documents, like price tables, drug tables. So you can upload hundreds and hundreds of pages, over 1,000 pages of files, and our agent can then use those files to generate reports that are themselves can be hundreds of pages long. So it's like a really big issue with AI right now, where the input context is very small, so you can't handle large files, and then the output context is very small, so you can't generate large output files. But in industry, in business, usually you have thousands of pages of files, and you need to create a report that's like 80 pages long. So that's usually kind of like what you're dealing with in day-to-day business. So that's difficult with current the limitations of current LLMs. So we had to build a unique way and approach to do this using kind of like agentic flow. So as an AI developer, I actually really, really like simplifying these complex AI terms, machine learning terms. And an AI agent is nothing more than an AI model running in a loop. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's all it is. So when people say, oh, like these new AI models are thinking, all that means is that the AI model generates some text, then you feed that text it generates back into the model. So it looks at what it did last time and then does that again. So that flow, that loop, is referred to as thinking or agentic flow. So it's nothing
I
like
don't know. I have so many criticism about maybe it's the way that I misuse ChatGPT and the different agents that I create there because they don't remember the instructions that I give them. I tell them it's
No, they
like,
don't.
this is what we need. Label it as table 1 or instruction 5. And they go like, oh, no, no, that's too much work. I don't feel like doing that. You go like,
Yeah,
but
you got to yell at it, right? You gotta
it's
be
like,
mad at the AI all of a sudden.
I
No,
need to be, exactly, I need to be mad at the AI and go like, you're supposed to make my life easier. It's like if I wanted someone to make my life hard, I would just go and hire someone. That's the whole idea. It's like I'm trying to be a skeleton operation. It's like if you ever made the concept of investment banking as a skeleton or as I don't know, the naked investment banker. I'm still trying to figure out that type of marketing or the brand for that. But it's like, no, we are using technology as much as we can to make ourselves efficient. But yeah, then I need to spend more time explaining the AI that is forgetting and doesn't follow instructions. What kind of a computer is it?
that is exactly the task that we're trying to solve, and that's why we've built our platform to be kind of fully automated in a way. We were working with some customers, and we noticed that they kept saying, like, instead of me building this report, I'm spending the exact same amount of time. Instead of like looking up these data and like putting in a CSV, I'm spending almost the exact same amount of time fiddling around with like a prompt to get it to generate the data that I want in the format that I want, the shape that I want, the table that I want to look the way that I want. So that's kind of what we focused on. And
Yes, but you're getting better at giving instructions. So
so
it's like,
yeah, we've internalized the instructions, but what I'm trying to at Discrepancy, one thing that we do, we have our report agent that actually replicates old reports with new data. So most companies have like a sample report or an old report, and now they have new files that they need to create a new report that matches the style of this old one, but like with the new data. So this actually is like 98% of companies that need to generate reports have this, and what we're able to do is we can give our AI the old example and all of the files, and because we've set up our system, it can handle thousands of pages. It actually works to replicate that report without you having to enter a prompt at all. So you don't have to prompt the AI. You don't have to like do this, do that. You just give it an example of a report that you want. You give it some files with new data, and it will replicate that old report with the new data. So this was kind of like the secret sauce that when we discovered that what we need to do is not just technology for the sake of technology. We need to actually solve our customers' problems, and that was like a really big revelation for me. Being like, okay, like I'm building tech that I think is cool, but what I need to be doing is building tech that saves my customers time, and more specifically, the employees of my customer, because there's the one using it. So there's that distinction between you're solving the company's problem, but also the individual employees that work at that company that use your product. You need to make their life easier too.
okay, couple of things. When you had that aha moment, this is when you shifted from the CTO to a CEO concept. It's but you know it. You studied economics. You were a sales guy. The CEO's job is to sell the company, to sell the vision, to sell the product, the vision to investors, employees, everyone who has some sort of a capital, if it's a work capital or if it's actually capital. And most definitely, it's all about creating value, especially for your clients. Now, to make sure I understand, your clients are the insurance companies, and they provide or generate the reports for their policyholders, or internally for the claims, or who?
So yeah, it's a little bit of both. It's those two, and as well as insurance consultancy companies also use us because a lot of them work on the model of, hey, if you're renewing your insurance, use us, we'll negotiate for you, and then they get paid whatever money they save or that. But they have to create these like large reports, renewal reports, as well as benefit reports. And these are very standard. Like they have a standard report, and then they get new data, and they have to like redo that report with the new data. So it's like a repetitive workflow that takes up such a large percentage of their time, and they're currently doing it 100% manually, just because there's just like hundreds and hundreds of pages. AI has just very recently become good enough to be able to handle that workflow. And even still, I've had to do a lot of like tricks behind the scene to get it to work, because it's a very, very complex. Still, when you need AI to do business ready applications, work with in the real world, solving business issues, there's still a lot of struggles. There's still a lot of issues. So building a really robust system that can handle large context, can make sure that hallucinations are minimized, and always refers to the exact point in the document where it extracted the data, and as well as having the human in the loop element. So what I've built is a canvas that allows the humans to actually collaborate with the AI. So in our canvas, multiple people can collaborate to build this report, but also the AI is collaborating as well. So it's like a kind of like Figma, but for generating reports.
I'm not sure how many people are familiar with Figma, but yeah, what's another
report builder where you can collaborate with your teammates and AI together?
Maybe if people are familiar, maybe with Canva is almost there, and it has that AI button. It's like, let me restructure the design and pick another, I don't know, color palette for you. That will be
the
best.
key
But
is you're
Figma is great.
collaborating with the AI. Yeah, you're collaborating with the AI as well as the other employees to build this report. So that's
You
really
didn't want to use SharePoint as a good example, no? Okay.
SharePoint is like where they store the documents. So like they're storing their files on SharePoint, and then they upload them onto our platform, and then they use those uploaded documents to generate their report.
Which is a great segue to the main question about data. And data, that's the main thing. That's, I would say, 75% of the secret sauce of everything that relates to AI. Sometimes it's 99% of the secret sauce, especially when you are really dependent on what is the AI and the training that you're expecting. Now, given that your clients are insurance companies and they like to keep everything in-house, we cannot even talk about who are your clients. We can talk about the profile, insurance carriers, consultants, regional, national, international, etc. But when it comes to after, it's like, okay, we have on-prem, we have cloud. We don't like to give our data. I'm not sure that I'm going to give you the data. Here is a little bit of data. Is my data is going to be shared with someone else? How did you deal with all of that, and what's that?
Totally, yeah. So to solve that issue for them, I try to store as little of their data as possible, and we don't like save or store their data unless required of them. And sometimes we'll build on-prem solutions for them. But the main thing is they would upload the documents, create the report, but we're not like the main data storage for them. So a lot of them have these cloud providers already. We just sync up with those cloud providers where they're already storing these documents, and that makes it a lot easier for us to convince them, because we're integrating with whatever document provider they're already using, and as well as we offer like the on-prem solutions for them as well, because some people need that extra layer.
So if I read it correctly, the CISO will not sleep like any other cloud vendor. However, the underwriters feel okay because it doesn't touch any of their internal data that had to teach some sort of a underwriting or an actuarial historical data that they have that make that specific insurance company unique in their own way. It's all about give me the reports. I'm not saving the data. I may learn about the format. How do you like your report? The different structure to create them, but I've nothing, and there is no, I don't know,
Yeah, we don't even train.
multi-tenant. What? Yeah.
Yeah, we even have a lot of like agreements with a lot of our customers where we don't train their AI on their data. And I had to tell them, I'm like, listen, I have no problem doing this. Just know that it can't get better. If I can't train on your data, it can't improve on your data. And that's the main thing. But it's a hotly debated topic in the AI space right now, fine tuning versus not fine tuning, because you could spend a couple of months collecting data to fine tune and train a model to be better at something. And then in that time, they will release a new AI model that will be better than your fine-tuned one. So it's controversial right now whether you should do fine-tuning or you should focus on other system approaches. Like I said, if you can run it in a loop and run it multiple times, you'll actually get better results. No one knows why that works. In AI, it's a mystery. Why running the same AI model multiple times and having it think about the results, why does it generate better results? No one knows. It's a mystery. But
I
it
just
does.
want it's an interesting 80-20 problem in terms of where you invest your resources. And when it comes to an enterprise sale, how much effort you need to invest in that enterprise sale in terms of like, don't worry about the data. Because now
Yeah.
like the upgrade is the upgrade of the AI. And now, is that your own engine or you're using OpenAI or other engines and creating a wraparound?
So we're not using OpenAI. We are using some other ones. We use a combination of AI models. We do an approach that we've kind of developed called AI tool chaining, where we have multiple AI models internally, and then we have like a ranking of like what AI model is good at what task, and then we chain these AI responses together. So one AI model is like good at extracting data from the document. Another AI model is good at standardizing it. Another one is good at analyzing it. So just like like you have different people that are good at different stuff. If they're all working together, it's going to be better than the sum of their parts. So that same approach, we've developed a system to do that with AI models. We call it AI tool chaining, where we use multiple AI models. One passes to the next, and their job is to create this report, and they continue working at the report one section at a time until it's completed.
So there are all kinds of solutions which come to automate, parse at scale, documents, etc. You have your unique value, but there are a lot of competitors starting from a person because, someone needs to move that person's cheese after all. How are you different? What's the extra value besides being great at chess?
Yeah,
Or
so just to
3D.
be clear, I'm not good. I suck, but I'm trying. But our differentiating factor is our report agent, where you don't need to fiddle around with prompting or figuring out like what to tell the AI. You simply upload an old report and new data, and our AI agent on its own, without any input from you, will replicate that report with the new data. So this is the number one thing that I discovered from speaking with our customers, from actually speaking with, and so this is interesting. This insight didn't come from the actual like CEO or stakeholders of the company, right? So this came from speaking with the people that are actually going to be using the product, and they're the ones that told me this. That hey, like we were spending an hour finding this data in the report in the documents, and then entering into a CSV. Now we're spending 45 minutes prompting the AI for the right thing. So we're saving a little bit of time, but like not really what we thought, because it's just a different thing that we're doing now. So that's why I'm like, okay, so I don't have to just build technology like AI that does something that I need to actually save them time. And so that's where I had to think about it differently. I'm like, what is the end result that they need? What resources do they have to begin with? So they already have an example of an old report. They have all of the files that they need to replicate that report with new data. Why not let the AI figure out what the prompt will be? Because I'm sure you've played when you were a kid, that broken telephone game.
Which one? There was
Yeah,
all
the one
kind.
where you
There
have
were
like a
just
bunch of
broken telephone.
people.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
and the
yeah, yeah,
person
yeah,
says
yeah,
something, and then by the time you're at the eighth person, like it's a completely different statement. So it's the exact same thing when trying to create a prompt for an AI model to create a report. There's going to be a disconnect. But if you show the AI an example of the report and tell it to recreate it, it works so much better, and it requires way less input from the person. And our collaborative AI report builder, with the agentic flow, there's very, very little competition in the market for that right now that can fully automate this, without human intervention.
So what's next what are the plans for this year? Oh, that sounds like such a Q&A question. It's like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
tell me, for 2025, what's your plan?
My plans is to expand. We're still relatively early. We have about 3 large customers. Making about 10K MRR. So we're still a very early startup, and I want to extend that 5x our revenue. We've had like a pivot, as I told you. We were initially targeting legal firms. I learned a ton from that. I learned my mistake that even though like the legal AI, legal tech industry seems very hot right now, speaking to lawyers, I learned that they don't love AI because it's going to decrease their billable hours. So this was the biggest aha moment I've ever had, where I was like, wow, I did
So
not
I'm
see that
going to
coming.
tie that. So I'm going to tie that to the question. Tell me about the failure and the lesson learned.
Yeah.
And my understanding from you, I'm already answering it because it's one of the buckets that I don't know, chapter 7 in the book, which is basically, it's like, don't hurt the core business. And the core business for lawyers, is billable hours. And we see that also in the insurance industry with the TPAs. I had my clients companies that have been an advisor and advisory boards, etc. And the main thing, which they were perfect for improving the efficiency and productivity of TPAs, and TPAs were like, oh fuck no, because for us it's all about the billable hours. I want to put someone on a plane. I want to send them far, far away. And every time they take a break, everything is clocked, timed, and billable. And it sounds like the lawyers are the same. Starting from opening an email,
Yeah.
the timer is on.
Exactly. And the issue with that is that it was a very difficult thing to learn, because it's not something that they will openly admit to. I had to talk to like family, friends, and acquaintances in the industry to actually get that, because they're not gonna actively say that we're not gonna try to save money for our customers.
So when you work with them, so you reach out to a law firm. Who do you even approach in a law firm? To one of the partners?
So yeah, this is you've hit a challenging aspect of sales overall when you're like B2B sales, is that first thing you got to do is you got to find your champion. So you find the one person in that company. It's not always going to be the decision maker, but you find someone it's usually whose job you will make, whose life you're going to make easier with your product. And then that person needs to go, like, they become your champion, and they need to go and like champion your solution into their company. And then after that, it's like an 6 to 8 months
Oh, that's
process
quick.
yeah,
That's
sales
great.
cycle to go to the close. And it was incredibly challenging with legal firms, and it's significantly less of a struggle with the new approach. So it's been a very obvious after the fact, right? Like hindsight 2020, it's been a very obvious kind of shift. The majority of our customer growth has been through referrals. So these insurance companies, it's a small community, they talk with each other, and referrals has been the number one way that we've been growing within this new sector, in this new niche. So I feel like I'm onto something with it.
Yeah, great. I'm sorry, I'm taking you back to the lawyers because this is
No,
interesting, especially the aha moment when people go like, because people don't know what they don't know, and they don't know to ask the question to know what they don't know. Now, great, I sound like Rumsfeld. But the main thing is, it's like how, a friend told you, right? Friends and insider, but your prospect client didn't want to say anything because they didn't want to admit it. Now, there is again the way that you sell, which is interesting by itself, right? You realize who is going to be benefit, and you turn that employee or that lawyer associate or legal aid, whatever, into your kind of champion. While others will go like, okay, who's the decision maker or who owns the budget? And they will go to the
yeah,
partner or senior partner and try to reach to that person. Like each one has their gatekeepers, etc. And then you have a conversation, and most likely they have all their cards very close to the chest.
exactly.
How
You're not
did
going to get there.
you? Yeah, and they have, and part of the cards is their incentives, right? So how did you uncover? How do you make them tell you, listen?
Yeah, so it was definitely a really big challenge, and something that I had as I said, I made a mistake with at the very beginning, and I had to learn. And how I learn going forward, and how I approach it going forward is I try to get a customer first, try to get them to pay me first, and then I built out the solution for them. That's how I kind of work, how I built it out for the insurance customers. So then I knew exactly what I was building. I knew it was something that they needed, because I knew they needed it before I built it. So
You
being good at
first of all,
sales,
that's impressive.
and thank you, but being good at sales and being like a software developer, I have the special ability there. I can sit in a call with someone and do founder-led sales and figure out what they need, and then I can go back and build that thing. So doing that allowed me to actually build a product that actually solves their problem, because I built it with them there in front of me. Every 3 days to a week, we would have catch-ups. I'd be like, here's what I have. We'll use it. They would use it a little bit. They would give me feedback. And so building it through this iterative process, working with our customers, I feel like as an early startup, it's the only way you have to do it. We have our internal biases. Every single one of us has our internal biases, and that is the biggest killer of startups. It's one of my favorite quotes, where there's 3 types of information: things you know, things you don't know, and things you don't know you don't know. So it's just about putting the things in the categories as quickly as possible, and figuring out which bucket things belong in as quickly as possible, and then going from there. But yeah, like trying to me, like just figure out from my brain what product to build, and then building that. I've done that before, and unless you're Steve Jobs, it's going to fail. It's incredibly difficult to, right off the bat, with no engagement from your customers, build a product that's exactly what your customers need. So it requires an incredibly talented type of individual to be able to think that way. And I feel like a much better approach is to collaborate with your customers and build it alongside them.
Well, Steve Jobs has it. Yeah, a very interesting character.
Yeah, he didn't
Oh,
talk to customers. He just launched something,
yeah,
and
it's like
somehow
this
it was
is this
what
is
people
what you
wanted.
need. We can say the same thing about Henry Ford, that you can choose. any color that you want, but it needs to be black. And with this very optimistic let's finish here. And Lisen, thank you very, very much for joining me. Who and how should people reach out to you?
If you want to reach out to me, you can find me on LinkedIn, Lisen Kaci. I'm the only one. You can find Discrepancy AI at discrepancyai.com or send me an email at lisen@discrepancyai.com.
Yeah, as always, we'll have a link to your LinkedIn profile in the comments, in the description of the post, and of course in LinkedIn, which, let's face it, most of the people will watch the short video, the clips on LinkedIn than on any other platform. Awesome, great. Lisen, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I had a great time.